Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of our English Learning Podcast. I'm Emma.
And I'm James. Today, we're going to help you practice a very important topic: how to talk about a job in English. Whether you're having a casual conversation with friends, introducing yourself at work, or even doing a job interview, knowing how to describe your job clearly is very useful.
That's right. Many English learners find it difficult to explain what they do, what their responsibilities are, or even how they feel about their job. But don't worry, we're going to guide you step by step with examples and natural expressions.
By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to talk about your own job with confidence. You'll also learn some useful vocabulary, phrases, and even small talk expressions that native speakers often use.
So stay with us until the end and make sure you practice out loud with us. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. All right, let's start with the basics. When someone asks you, "What do you do?" they are asking about your job. A very simple and natural way to answer is to use the structure, "I'm a job." For example, you can say, "I'm a teacher," or "I'm a doctor." This is short, simple, and clear.
Yes. And if your job title begins with a vowel sound, we use an instead of a. For example, I'm an engineer, or I'm an artist. Notice how it's not a engineer, but an engineer. That's a small detail, but it makes your English sound much more natural.
Now, if you want to give a little more detail, you can expand your answer. Instead of just saying, "I'm a teacher," you could say, "I'm a teacher. I work at a high school and I teach English to teenagers." Adding a few details makes your answer more interesting and shows that you can keep a conversation going.
That's right. Let's practice together. Imagine someone asks you, "What do you do?" You could answer in different ways depending on the situation. For example, I'm a nurse. I work in a hospital and I take care of patients. Or, I'm a software developer. I design apps and programs for companies. Notice how we are not only saying the job title, but also explaining what we actually do.
And here's another useful structure. I work as a job. For example, I work as a photographer, or I work as a driver. This is another very common way to answer the question. You can also say, I work in industry or place. For example, I work in education, or I work in a bank. This is helpful if your job doesn't have a clear title or if you want to keep your answer general.
Yes, and if you don't want to go into details, you can also keep your answer short. For example, I'm a manager. But if the person looks interested, you can add more. I'm a manager. I work for a small company that makes furniture. The idea is that you start simple and then expand if needed.
Let's practice with a quick dialogue. James, I'll ask you, what do you do?
Okay, go ahead.
James, what do you do?
I'm an English teacher. I work online, and I help students improve their speaking and listening skills.
Very good. And I'll answer too. What do you do, Emma? I'm a teacher as well. I teach English at a language school, and I love helping students feel more confident when they speak.
Perfect. So, learners, you can see how easy it is to start with a short answer and then add one or two extra sentences to make your answer more complete.
Exactly. So, in this first part, remember these three structures. I'm a job, I work as a job, and I work in industry or place. Practice saying them out loud with your own job. The more you repeat, the more natural it will sound.
All right, welcome back, everyone. In this part, we're going to help you go beyond just saying your job title. Many English learners stop after saying, I'm a doctor or I'm a teacher. But if you really want to sound confident and natural in conversations, you need to add more details. People usually want to know what you do every day or what your job is like. So, Emma, how can we explain that?
That's a great question. One of the easiest ways is to talk about your daily responsibilities. And you don't need difficult vocabulary, just focus on action verbs. For example, if I say, I'm a teacher, I can continue with, I teach English to students. I prepare lessons, I explain grammar rules, and I help people practice speaking. Do you notice the pattern? Each sentence starts with I plus verb. This is a very simple structure that you can copy.
Exactly. And it works for every job. Let's try another one. If you're a nurse, you can say, I take care of patients. I give medicine. I check their health. Very clear, very simple. If you're an engineer, you can say, I design machines. I test new ideas. I solve problems. No complicated grammar, just simple verbs. That's the key.
Yes, and learners, don't be afraid to use short sentences. A lot of students think they must make long, complex explanations, but in English, short sentences are better for beginners. You can always connect them later with words like and, but, because.
That's true. Let me show you another useful phrase. My job is to. For example, my job is to answer customer emails, or my job is to manage a team of 5 people. This phrase is very flexible and can make you sound professional. If you want, you can even combine it. I'm a manager. My job is to organize projects and check reports.
I love that. And here's another way to add detail. Talk about your schedule or your workplace. For example, you can say, I usually start work at 8 a.m., I spend most of my time in the office, I finish at 4 p.m., or I work in a hospital, I work in a factory, I work in a school. These small details make your answer more complete.
Let's practice this together. Emma, I'll pretend to interview you. I'll ask, what do you do at work?
All right, I'll answer like this. I'm an English teacher. My job is to teach English to adults. Every day, I prepare lessons, explain grammar rules, and help students practice conversations. I usually work in the afternoon and evening because that's when most students are free.
Perfect. Now it's my turn. I'm an online English teacher. My job is to help students learn English online. I give lessons on Zoom, I create study materials, and I record podcasts for learners. I usually work in the morning, but sometimes I teach late at night because I have students in different countries.
Notice how both of us gave a job title, explained daily tasks with verbs, and added some details about time or place. That's a great formula to follow.
Yes, and here's a tip for our listeners. Write down 3 or 4 verbs that describe your job. For example, if you're a chef, you might write cook, prepare, serve, organize. If you're a driver, you might write drive, deliver, check, help. Once you have those verbs, put them into simple sentences. I cook meals, I serve food, I organize the kitchen. That's all you need to start sounding natural.
And don't worry if your job sounds complicated in your own language. In English, you can always break it into smaller, easy actions. Even if you have a very technical role, just choose simple verbs that describe the basics. For example, someone in IT might say, I fix computers. I help people when they have problems. I make sure the system works. Simple but clear.
That's such a good point, Emma, because at the end of the day, communication is about being understood, not about sounding perfect. So learners, in part 2, Your practice challenge is this. Write down your job title, then write 3 or 4 sentences with action verbs to explain what you do. After that, practice saying them out loud. The more you repeat, the more confident you'll feel when someone asks you, "So, what do you do?"
Welcome back, everyone. So far, we've learned how to say your job title and explain your daily responsibilities. But there's one more important step. In real conversations, people don't just want to know what you do, they also want to know how you feel about it. Do you like your job? Do you enjoy it? Or maybe it's difficult sometimes. Talking about your feelings makes your answer sound natural and personal.
Yes, James, that's a really important step. Think about it. If you ask someone, "What do you do?" and they say, "I'm a teacher. I prepare lessons. I teach students." That's good, but it feels a little bit mechanical, right? But if they add, "I love my job because I like helping people," suddenly you learn something deeper about that person. It makes the conversation more interesting and friendly.
Exactly. And here's the good news. You don't need complicated sentences to express feelings. You can use very simple phrases like, I like my job because, I enjoy my work because, the best thing about my job is, sometimes my job is, but, for example, I like my job because I meet new people every day. Or, sometimes my job is stressful, but it's also exciting. See? Easy and natural.
That's right. And learners, notice how we use connectors like because and but. These words are powerful. Because helps you explain the reason. For example, I enjoy my job because I can be creative. And but helps you show contrast. For example, my job is sometimes tiring, but I feel proud when I finish my work. If you practice using these 2 words, you'll sound much more fluent.
Let's give some more examples with different jobs so everyone can see how this works. Emma, I'll try one first. I'm a software developer. I enjoy my job because I like solving problems and building new things. Sometimes it's difficult when projects are long, but it's very rewarding when I finish them.
That was great. Okay, here's mine. I'm a nurse. I love my job because I help people feel better. Sometimes it's stressful and tiring, but it's also very meaningful and important. Do you notice, learners, how adding feelings and opinions makes the answer more complete and human?
Yes, and you don't need to only say positive things. It's perfectly okay to talk about both good and bad sides of your job. For example, I like my job because I work with friendly colleagues, but sometimes the schedule is very busy and I don't have much free time. This shows honesty, and that's very natural in English conversations.
Another useful phrase you can try is, the best thing about my job is, for example, the best thing about my job is that I can travel. Or, the best thing about my job is working with children. And you can also use, the hardest part of my job is. For example, the hardest part of my job is waking up very early. Or, the hardest part of my job is meeting deadlines. These structures are simple, but they really help you sound like a natural speaker.
That's a great tip. So learners, here's a mini exercise for you. Take your job and write 2 sentences. First, I like my job because, and then, the hardest part of my job is. Once you write them, practice saying them out loud 3 or 4 times. This will help you get comfortable with real-life conversations.
And if you don't have a job right now, don't worry. You can still practice with a past job or even with your studies. For example, I'm a student. I like studying English because I can communicate with more people. The hardest part is remembering vocabulary, but it's exciting when I improve. See? You can always use this structure.
That's such a great point, Emma. And remember, learners, the key idea in part 3 is to make your answer more personal. Not just job title and duties, but also your feelings, experiences, and opinions. That's how you create real connection in conversations.